Hi, I'm Dr. Jordan Vale, and we're going to look at why God allows things like global tragedies. And I want to answer the question in two forms. First is to give a theological perspective, and the second is going to be to give a pastoral response. So starting with the theological perspective. See, since Christ walked the earth, people over the centuries have had to navigate how to think about suffering and pain. It doesn't take long to realize that life is broken. Life's not yet whole. Pain and suffering, this is something we experience from a very young age. And over the years, there have been many answers given about suffering. One of the most common is that suffering is a test, that suffering will strengthen our faith. In the book of James, one of the general epistles in the New Testament, James writes, and he says, "My brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of any kind, consider it nothing but joy, because you know the testing of your faith produces endurance." And so this idea of suffering as a test, it is helpful when it comes to the smaller trials of our life. Not getting the promotion we deserved, being slighted by a close friend, not getting to the college that we wanted, and so on. However, the context of this verse is personal. It says when you go through trials. It doesn't necessarily speak to when someone near you goes through a trial. And this explanation, it doesn't normally help when it comes to the most gut-wrenching and pain-soaked experiences. Like, how can you look a young family and say that God sent cancer to test a small child? Or children who lose their father in a tragic accident and look at them and say, this is a test. Or a husband who lost his wife to a disease. See, that ideology will normally fall short when it comes to the most gut-wrenching of human experiences. The second answer given is that when tragedy happens, whether it's to us or in our world, those things exist because God has given people free will. And with our free will, we have the potential to do wonderful things. But there in us also lies the potential to do bad things. It's human depravity. And yeah, that's true. We do have freedom, and we use it in good and bad ways. But this answer doesn't give us the comfort we're looking for. The third answer is that things like global tragedy, or the tragedy in our lives, is just a part of the fallen world. And that is very true. But why doesn't God just intervene? It's His world. And this confusion for followers of Christ, it leads to what philosophers call the inconsistent triad. Put succinctly, God is all-powerful, therefore God could prevent suffering. But God does not prevent suffering, therefore God is either not all-powerful or not all-loving. Yet the Bible shows an all-powerful and all-loving God. And when we over-focus on this, we find ourselves confused. See, in the end, the most honest theological answer to the question of why God allows tragedy is we don't know. We don't know. It's the most honest and accurate answer. We don't know why God allows things like tragedy to happen. Now, I said at the beginning I wanted to give a theological perspective, but also a pastoral response. 9 years ago, on a hot and humid day in July, I was in Lakeland, Florida. I had recently started a doctoral program and I was fulfilling my summer residency. And on the first day of residency that afternoon, the dean of the college comes into our classroom. She looks around at all of us and she says this, "Now is the time to start thinking about your dissertation. If you start thinking about your dissertation when you finish your coursework in 2 or 3 years, you'll be behind." And what she said next marked me throughout my whole doctoral program, and it still marks me today. She looked at the class and said, "When it comes to your dissertation, it all hinges on having the right research question. If you have the wrong research question, you may end up studying something for years that doesn't really have an answer. But if you have the right question, it can propel your dissertation and your whole doctorate into something that's very meaningful." And what I found to be true with my doctorate is also true in life. The right question can lead to something meaningful. The different answers to why God allows global tragedy to happen, why does He allow tragedy in our lives, it's always going to leave us wanting. But there's a better question to ask. And the question is this: where is God in the midst of this tragedy? Over 2,000 years ago, Jesus stepped onto earth, fully God, fully man. And in looking at creation, God chose the path of greatest compassion for our freedom. Jesus liberates us, not by removing suffering from us, but by sharing it with us. Jesus is the God who suffers. Isaiah 53:3, it tells us that Jesus was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrow and acquainted with grief. Where is God in the midst of any tragedy? He's with us. He's near us. He hears our cry. He feels our pain. He is not a distant God. Writing from a Nazi prison cell right before his execution, a Lutheran pastor and theologian by the name of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, he said this: "Only the suffering God can help." God suffers with us and for us, and it is by His wounds that we're healed. God is not indifferent to the pain we're all going through. He is not silent to the questions and concerns we have, but God is present with us. He is near us. Where is God? In the midst of the tragedy of your life, He's with you.